Did you know that self-determination is not taking action, or is taking action into your own hands and making your own decisions of what you think is right? In Africa, the Middle East, and China, self-determination was hard to find. In Africa, the overall self-determination was limited. In the Middle East, the self-determination was between limited and moderate. And in China, the self-determination was moderate. Let's expand on these ideas. Marissa?
Welcome to SMC News. I'm Marissa reporting to you live from Studio 7. First top story. The Middle East self-determination is in between limited and moderate because of war and a fight for resources. Politically, during World War I, Middle East self-determination was moderate because after the split of the Middle East, their power weakened. Economically, during World War I, Middle East self-determination was limited because British and French took over to gain control of the oil reserves, and they made it difficult for small countries to free themselves. Politically, Middle East self-determination is high because they made the Balfour Declaration because they thought it would appeal to German, Austrian, and American Jews, which helped the British war effort. During the Cold War, politically, Middle East went from moderate to limited because of the Palestinian government being unorganized and slowly whittled away. Economically, they stayed limited because OPEC, the largest oil company affecting oil prices all over the world. Socially, they went from high to limited because the Israel and Palestinian conflict shortened the education of the youths. Now back to Sarah in China.
Thanks, Marissa. I'm here in China with my good friend Paul. So Paul, how are you dealing with the current situation China's having in their self-determination?
Okay.
What situation?
China's self-determination is overall at a moderate state because of past wars and disagreements, therefore making China separated and weak. Wouldn't you like their self-determination to be a little higher than that?
Yes?
Well, Paul, thank you for joining us here in China. Have a good day. Socially, China's self-determination was moderate during the Cold War and after the World War I. During the Cold War, there were many protesters that were against the Tiananmen Square massacre, but during the Cultural Revolution of China, the rich people became the workers, and also during the Tiananmen Square massacre, the government was shady and changed people's behaviors about how they lived. After World War I, the social aspects of self-determination hadn't changed because there were many good changes showing strength in China, such as women getting more rights and an equal pay, and food fighting got banished. But at the same time, China was not united because the communists and nationalist battle, which was essentially a battle that China fought themselves in.
Go.
Politically speaking, China had limited self-determination during the Cold War and moderate self-determination after World War I. Although there were wars that broke out between the nationalists and the communists, the government was focused on fighting and determined to win whatever they got themselves into. And also the people of China could finally decide what party they wanted to join, the communists or the nationalists. During the Cold War, China's self-determination went downhill and they had very small to no power. During the Cultural Revolution, Mao became the dictator and owned the majority of China's power, so the people had no say in what they want in China. During the Tiananmen Square massacre, the people had little trust in their governments, and also during the Tiananmen Square massacre, the government took control using military force, so the people of China had no choice but to have limited self-determination. Okay. Paul, nice to see you again. I have another question for you. Knowing that the economic self-determination of China after World War I was pretty high, and then it went down to moderate in the Cold War, why do you think this has changed?
It's all because of China having to use our own money for once. These foreign loans were very nice to use and they all went away. Britain and France are too stuck up to give us money. We already gave them all of our natural resources. What more do they want?
Oh, I see that this conversation is getting a little heated. So you don't like the economic amount of self-determination going on now?
No!
Okay. And why is that, Paul?
It's because the industrial production has dropped by 12%, and the U.S. refused to trade with us during the Tiananmen Square. Oh, I'm sorry, St. Francis, I'm sorry. And during the Tiananmen Square massacre, and our leader Mao Zedong, he bought lots of weapons of war that they cost China a lot of money, and now our pockets are dry.
Well, I'll let you get on with your day then, Paul. Goodbye. Good to see you again, Paul. Goodbye, Paul. Okay, no, that was horrible.
I just broke St. Francis.
There you have it, from all three perspectives, social, political, and economic. So you can see the overall self-determination in China is a moderate amount of self-determination. Let's hear what Canada has to say about the self-determination in Africa. Here's Canada!
Thank you, Sarah. Here I am in Africa, and behind me you see Africans doing a tribal dance. The self-determination in Africa has been a problem for some time. The region, Africa, has low self-determination because the people are not united and cannot make their own decisions because they are too busy fighting. Therefore, it leads to poverty and lack of resources. Before World War I, Africa's self-determination was limited. This war made the people have high taxes, which a lot of them could not pay. During the war, they had really bad tribalism, which kept people from coming together. The war also made the people have different opinions and different political views, which separated Africans even more. Also, there was controlled trade, so Africans could not freely trade. Another bad thing that happened was the other countries tried to take Africa's resources. Then, because of the war, it led to a Great Depression and caused people to lose their jobs, so no one had a job. Now, after the Cold War, Africa's self-determination is still limited. The political side is high. An example is the Nigerian Civil War because they were military-based and often fought. The social and economic is also low. Africa changed currencies in the Nigerian Civil War and changed the society from farming to industrial when Gaba was leading. Therefore, they could not stay and be united, and now decisions were made. Now I'm going to go dance with the Africans while you go back to the studio. Oh my gosh! Sarah, you look like... I'm gonna try blowing in it. Ready for this?
Well, there you have it. From all three regions, there's no high self-determination to be found anywhere. Africa's screwed. Screwed. Because their self-determination led to poverty and lack of resources. China's screwed.
Screwed.
Because they're separated and weak. And finally, the Middle East is screwed. Because they're weak and they have lack of resources. That's it for today at SMC News. Have a great day.
Okay. We take the baby tea leaf and we pluck it.